Hello everyone, and welcome back to another GIS mathematics lecture video. And in this lecture video, I want to convert from radians to degrees. Right, so in the last video, we went from degrees to radians. In this video, I want to go from radians to degrees. And I want to go through two examples. The first one I want to do is pi over 9. So conceptually, I want to approach this the exact same way we did before. And before we actually address this question, what I want to do is I want to think about what value we would expect or what value range we might expect. So we know that 90 degrees is pi over 2 radians. And we know that 0 degrees is 0 radians. And we know that this is closer to 0 than it is to 90. So we're going to expect this to come out somewhere between 0 and 90. If our answer doesn't come out between 0 and 90, we know that we've done something wrong. Again, this is just a basic sort of gut check. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up that same proportion. So since we're looking for degrees, we're going to say x degrees over pi over 9 radians is equal to 360 degrees over 2 pi radians. Now, when you divide by a fraction, right, that's the same as multiplying by its inverse. So this is the same as saying 9x over pi equals 360 over 2 pi. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides by pi, and that's going to leave us with 9x is equal to 360 pi over 2 pi. Well, we know from basic algebra here that these two pi's are going to cancel out. And so we're left with 9x equals, and then 360 divided by 2 is 180. Okay? So then we just do x equals 180 divided by 9, right? I'm just moving this over here. And that gives us x is equal to 20 degrees. Right. Because this is a little more complicated because we're dividing by a fraction, I'm just going to quickly walk through it again. Right. The first step was to get this fraction on the bottom out of the way, and that's the same as multiplying by the inverse. And when you invert it, you get 9 on the top times x over pi on the bottom. This side did not change, right? Because we were just rearranging this side. We weren't doing anything. These two things, right? Pi over x over pi over 9 is the same as 9x over pi. These two things are equal. We didn't change anything. Then we brought the pi over, which canceled out. And then we divided through to solve for x. So hopefully, especially this first step here, hopefully that didn't confuse you. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at another example. Let's look at the example 5 pi over 4. So where would we expect 5 pi over 4 to go? Well, we have to think about what it's bounded by. We know that 180 degrees is equal to pi. We know that 270 degrees is equal to 3 pi over 2. This is less than 3 pi over 2, but it's more than pi, right? Because pi would be 4 over 4 pi, and 3 pi over 2 would be 6 pi over 4. So we know this is going to be between 180 and 270. So let's go ahead and do the math. Right, just like last time, right? X degrees over 5 pi over 4 radians is going to be the same as 360 degrees over 2 pi radians. Right? This is the same thing we've done before. Again, we can clean this side up because dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its inverse. So this is going to become 4x over 5 pi is equal to 360 degrees over 2 pi. Okay. Then we're going to multiply both sides by 5 pi. So I'm going to go a little slower on this one just because there's more numbers involved and things don't cancel quite as cleanly. So we have 4x equals 360 times 5 pi over 2 pi. All right, so I'm going to get a red marker out or a red pen out here. The pi's are going to cancel. Right, this 2 is going to cancel into this 160, leaving 180. Okay, so let's go ahead and do what we've just did here. So we're going to have 4x is going to be equal to 180 times 5. Now I'm leaving it like this because it's going to make the math a little easier on us in just a second, because the next step here is going to be to isolate x by dividing through by 4. So if we have x is equal to 180 times 5 over 4. So what we can do here is we can divide 180 by 4, which is going to be equal to 45 times 5. Hopefully that made sense. I just did some simple, I simplified my own mental process here because I know what a quarter of 180 is. It's 45. And then if we multiply that by 5, we're going to end up in the same place. So what is 45 times 5? Well, 5 times 40 is going to be 200. 5 times 5 is 25. So we're going to end up with 225 degrees. Okay. Again, I was doing this so that I didn't have to use a calculator. Hopefully you were able to follow everything. But we end up with 225 degrees, which is actually the correct answer. And we can go back here and we can gut check ourselves. Is it between 180 and 270? Yes, it is. So we know that we're in the right ballpark, and I'm just telling you this is actually the correct answer. I just did the math so that I didn't have to bust out a calculator. Okay, so this is x equals 225 degrees. So hopefully that made sense. Again, if any of this algebra was confusing to you, I would encourage you to go back, rewatch those parts. And if you don't understand a step, please reach out. Thank you.